I'm Sam. I'm the co-founder of Kingdom in Papua, and in this video I want to share with you my personal story of how I searched for meaning and purpose in my life, unsuccessfully for many years, and then how I came on the solution, what the solution is, how you can apply it yourself in your life and business too. I would like to invite you on the journey with me as I try to explore this concept of how I struggled so desperately for so long to find meaning and purpose, and hopefully if you feel the same way that I did, you can find a solution in this too. So, two quick things before we start. First, I want to apologise for the video angle. The phone stand has gone missing. I suspect my son has taken it from my office when he's come in and put it somewhere, and I'm recording early morning before people wake up, so I can't really go around and pull the house apart to find it. So I apologise if the camera angle's not good. I'll record videos in a batch, so the next few videos will be the same. And the second point to mention is my purpose for these videos is to be able to explore these ideas deeper myself, to deepen my own understanding. As the saying goes, the teacher and the coach is the person that learns the most in various interactions. I'm using these videos to start off with the full awareness that not many people are watching them, if anybody, and I want to use them as a way to practice my communication skills, to become better at what I do, so that I can steward my gift of being a good learner, someone that likes to study, someone that has this insatiable curiosity for knowledge, and to steward that into a way to teach and to share with others. So that's all. I'm not chasing algorithms, I'm not chasing particular formats. My videos, I prefer them to be unscripted, because that way I'm developing my own ideas as we go along. Okay, so that's all. Let's dive in. So basically, I want to share my own story of how I spent several years chasing purpose. Didn't find any. I tried all the different solutions to this. Over the years I invested a substantial amount into education, training, coaching, to develop my skills, my ability as a copywriter. In particular, my area of expertise was to use email marketing to sell high-ticket offers for clients. And I was quite successful in that, to some degree. Not successful, but if I were to compare to other people, but I managed to achieve what certain goals I set myself, and I became confident at what I did. I remember having one client. Their business goal was to go from maybe 6 or 7 million a year to 10 million. I can't remember if that was US dollars or Aussie dollars. And so I was quite happy and confident talking to this client, giving him advice, being the consultant, and being able to sit there and tell him very candidly how I would disagree with what he was saying, and I've got better ways to do things. So I had the confidence too, but everything I did, so the story goes that as a copywriter, there's always a goal that you aim for in copywriting, which is to hit a certain amount of money per month or per year or whatever it is. And I set my target, and one day I got it. I achieved my goal. I learned a lot in the process, but it was just it felt good for a day. It was nice to see the amount deposited into the bank account, but that was it. It was no long-term fulfillment, no long-term excitement. Quite honestly, if anything, it was more of a burden, because once I had achieved it, then instantly I set my goals on the next milestone, the next milestone, the next milestone, and so I wanted to make a certain amount per month, and then the next goal was more than double of what I was currently making, and well, that became my primary focus, and I just spent such a long time after that trying to hit this next financial goal, and I just, not only could I not do it, I actively regressed in my income, and I just couldn't get any more traction until my marketing agency ultimately came to an end, where I just refused to put any more money into it in order to try to make it work, because it wasn't working. And so this is the challenge that I had for a long time. A long time would be, so just to put a time frame on things for context, is I started as a freelancer content writer probably around 2015, I think, and that became copywriting, and then copywriting became focused on email marketing, and I think I started email marketing, I think it was 2018 maybe, I think, I can't recall, but around that time, and then, you know, writing sales letters and selling offers, and then I set up my company, my marketing agency in 2022, and then I closed it in 2025 at the start of the year, when I just, you know, all the money I made from freelancing I put into the business, thinking I was going to grow and expand and hit all these next goals, only to find that the business just took everything and it was a complete disaster. You know, I can look back now in hindsight at all the lessons, but you know, at the time, you know, I can't really talk in a way that I have all these worldly successes, because, well, you know, I didn't, it just collapsed on me, you know. So anyway, back to the point of chasing money and financial targets, which was the North Star, the number one goal of my freelancing career and my marketing agency. So the problem is I hit the financial target I had, and so instantly, within a day, it didn't even feel great for the rest of it. It felt good for an hour or so, and then you forget about it, and then you think, okay, next milestone. And as I mentioned, the next milestone that I had was more than 2.5 times what my first one was. So suddenly, in order to feel the same fulfillment, I had to somehow get 2.5 times the money that I was currently getting. It had taken me 7-8 years in order to hit that financial milestone, and then instantly, in the grand scheme of things, within the space of a day, my target had gone from hitting this to 2.5 times more. So then I'm trying to get more clients. They don't come. There's various reasons for it, I'm not going to go into the details. But now I'm focusing on what I don't have. I'm more focused on the gap I have between where I was currently at and what I want to achieve. It just seems so far away. All of a sudden, I ran towards the horizon, I achieved what I set out to achieve, and then my next goal was so far ahead, I couldn't get it. And ultimately, I felt despair, burnout, I hoarded money a lot more. When a client that I worked with that I relied on, well, 100% on, because I couldn't get any more clients in the business, they ended the contract. I can look back and laugh at it now, but at the time I was furious. And this was my only client because I couldn't get any more. Everything I tried wouldn't work. And my contract was ended with them because this is pretty much a quote of what they said. They said, despite me hitting all of my targets and me achieving what I was set to achieve, which is to generate booked calls for the business, they ended my contract because they are currently in the red, meaning that they're having a low sales month and they've got a lot of expenses to pay, but they don't have the revenue. But they have to let me go because the sales team aren't converting at the level that they normally convert, because Christmas is coming up and the sales team are in holiday mode. So I was doing exactly what I said to do. We, based on previous sales conversions of what the booked call to sales conversion rate that their sales team had, they should have been making substantially more. But because the sales team went into holiday mode in December and they didn't hit their quota, the client let me go. It is what it is. I was naturally upset about it, and I came out from that in a positive, I guess. But lesson learned. You go into a business relationship focusing on I'm going to help you get this much money or this much of a return on investment, and then one day when they don't hit the targets, whether you're responsible or not, well, naturally they end the contract because they just view you as an ROI. They don't view you as a person deep inside. They don't view you as a human being with unique gifts, unique abilities, and an actual person. They just view you as a commodity. It's kind of like when you look at Elon Musk, but I quite like Elon Musk. I quite like what he's doing with Tesla. But the fact of the matter is that anyone that has worked with Elon Musk, I remember reading somewhere, often said that he has no loyalty and he just views people as commodities, and as soon as they've performed the purpose that they've been put into in the business, they just let them go and don't care. That's it, gone. So that's what is taught in the secular world in the way to do business. The whole cutthroat approach to things, which I was in. I bought into that system 100%, and I bought into that system 100% because I was an atheist. I was a materialist. I worked to earn money for freedom, lifestyle, all these common things that you hear, and I invested, tens of thousands of dollars over the years, maybe even $100,000 up in everything. Definitely $100,000 when you look at the lessons I've learned from my failures through business and different things. And all the training, all the coaching, everything I received was from the worldly transactional mindset of copywriting is to sell things. And I remember a book that I bought before. It was called Take Their Money, which from copywriter language is a good title, but then when you step out of that world and you look at it from a different perspective, take their money, that intrinsically that statement is manipulative, coercive, generally not a great thing to do, and that was everything in the business world, the copywriting world, the marketing world, a little bit of advertising stuff that I was familiar with. All of that was everything that I consumed, everything I did. It was things I taught, it was things I did with clients, and ultimately there was no meaning in it. For me, I just couldn't find meaning in it. I just couldn't find purpose. And then, so naturally, I tried to look, and I invested in coaches. I invested, there was one coach that I paid, $3,000-4,000 for over, several months. Didn't work out. Nothing wrong with the coach. He was good. He was a good person. I enjoyed working with him, but I didn't get the result I wanted. Not through his fault, but because I was searching for the wrong thing. I found another coach and paid, I don't know, 60 to 80 or $100 an hour for them. Since then we've become friends, which is good, and we stay in touch and help each other out. Couldn't find it. I gave someone $4,000 to help me learn how to use Upwork again to find clients, only to find that I just hated the platform. because everything on Upwork was 100% transactional. Couldn't find any traction. Nobody would value my expertise, my experience, the fact that I've done things for 10 years. No one particularly cared about that. It was just a bidding war against 50 other people all the time. And it was hard to, it just completely misaligned with who I was. That led to burnout, led to other problems, arguments caused by me with my wife, me behaving in ways I now regret in front of my son. We had one at a time, and he got upset because of stress and different things got on to me, and it was just generally not good. And there was a particular moment that I remember when kind of, enough was enough. And well, actually there's two moments that come to mind. The first one was that with my marketing agency, that I just couldn't get anything to work. I tried LinkedIn outreach, I tried various other things. I was doing videos on YouTube. I spent close to $10,000 with a virtual assistant agency who promised me X, Y, and Z, but they never delivered on what they promised. Again, in hindsight, I understand why that's the case. It's because it was me, not them kind of thing. I wasn't clear on who I was and what I wanted to achieve. And so if I wasn't clear on what I wanted to achieve, what my goals are, how could I possibly communicate that to somebody else and then expect them to go and do the work necessary to make it happen? One day I got locked out of my LinkedIn account because they claimed that my identity verification, basically my passport, did not match the name on my profile, which was wrong because it did. Turned out it was some kind of a glitch in the system which shut the LinkedIn account, couldn't get access to it. That happened the same day that we had an email saying that the payment had failed for HostGator to host the website, and they were going to delete the website if we didn't respond to it immediately. Same day that happened. On top of that, there was a few other things that just went wrong at exactly the same time, and I just wasn't prepared to dig it out, and that was the day I decided to end it. At the day that we went to a business seminar through the church we attend, and then there was a whole bunch of things in that seminar which, crazily enough, was aligned and sort of, various things happened that pulled me that direction, which just confirmed that, this whole business thing I'm doing needs to go. It's the end of it. So I decided that day to stop the business and took time off. And naturally, you stop the business and you just start to panic. Where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? Still in that mindset. And the second major moment was when my wife, I had to convince my wife that financially I'm secure from our investments and different things. And, so we don't have to start chasing money. At the time, she was 7 months pregnant. And then I freaked out because I thought we didn't have any money because we didn't have any income, which was completely contradictory to what I told my wife and to put her at ease, so that was inconsistent. And then, she said to me that, well, you keep telling me that we're okay, but we don't have to worry about the clients, that we can start the business, that we can do all of these things. But now you're saying something completely different. You're saying we don't have money, you're stressing out, you're stressing me out, you're stressing our son out, all these things. And it took me some time to realise that, well, she's right, I was completely inconsistent with what I was saying to her and the way that I was behaving. Why? Couldn't understand it at the time, now I can. It's because I was focused on money. My entire anchor, my entire self-worth, everything about me was anchored in money, worldly success, external success. The way that I was to perceive myself was through the lens of well, other people in my age group, they've achieved this, this and this, therefore I should be up there too. The way I perceive myself as a result of going through everything that I'd gone through before, like I said, investing all the money and time into trading and learning about business through the secular mindset. My idea of what success is was clearly written, and it was external success, materialism, the whole industry of make money online or business opportunity is, you probably see the ads of people standing next to these fancy sports cars and walking around the mansions and wearing the Rolex watches and all of this stuff, private jets. That's what they were selling you on, the future dream that you could have. And while I didn't necessarily directly buy into that, because I think that's, I did not like that regardless. That is the North Star, the anchor of what success looks like in the secular transactional world. I was 100% bought into it, and it's why I just ultimately collapsed, burned out, didn't manage to achieve what I wanted to achieve, because obviously you can never have too much, you never get satisfaction, and that was who I am, who I was, sorry, and naturally I just could not make it work. The worst part for me, I'll put my hands up and I can admit it now, but at the time I couldn't admit it, it was something where if I were to view other entrepreneurs that were younger than me, especially when they were 10 years younger than me, they were successful and I wasn't, I'm starting to question myself. I'm starting to compare my self-worth to them, and naturally I viewed myself as a failure. And then you're focusing on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And this is a very common thing in the secular transactional world, because the way that I view things is that if I feel these things deep down, as someone that's a copywriter that's been trained to pick up on pain points, and especially the pain points and the things that will bother you, but you don't necessarily articulate what they are. You don't admit them, them sort of secret things that you're scared of, or secret things that you compare yourself to. Well, these are generally universal, and a universal thing that people do feel is that they do compare themselves to others. It's a natural thing that we do. So if it happens to me, and I can openly put my hands up and say, yes, I did feel like that. I did want other people to view me successful. I know other people am too, and hopefully, by me admitting it on camera, that other people will be aware of it too. This entire mindset and this entire approach is just a downward spiral. And that's basically it. So what was the solution to this? The solution to this for me is, it was quite simply, well, first I had to accept Christ and take Christianity seriously, which I did. And I did after a series of what I can only explain as supernatural events took place to me, and I couldn't, I tried to calculate the probability that they happened by chance, statistically, I was an atheist. I didn't necessarily, I viewed things with logic. I didn't understand Christianity. Now I do a little bit more, and every time I tried to calculate probability, it was just so unlikely for it to occur. For example, like an example here was, I opened the Bible at random once, and it was a test. It was sort of, okay, I'm going to open the Bible at random, I'm going to see what page it opens to, I'm going to read it, and then see if it relates to me anyway. I opened it up at random, came to a page, I read through it and thought, okay, this somewhat speaks to me, okay, Does it directly speak to me? Maybe, maybe not. Am I interpreting this in the way I want to? I don't know. But fair enough, I'm going to fold the page over, and then just for the reference point, close the book, come back. Forgot about it. Came back 2 weeks later, and in the Bible, I met with someone who suggested I should start reading the Bible. So I thought, okay. Opened the Bible, and it said, okay, this is the recommended reading plan. On day 1, you go to this book, this chapter, this verse. Okay. So I open the book. I'll find where it is in the book. I open it. And when I realise that the page where I'm supposed to read is folded, and then I kind of think, well, that's strange. And then I turned the page over, and that was the page that I'd opened at random before. So I had opened the Bible to the actual physical page where it suggested to start reading. It's just that when I opened it the other day, I decided to turn the page that way instead of that way, kind of thing. So, well, you can actually calculate the probability of this happening. So in total in the Bible, there's about 700 pages, 800 pages, let's say. We'll call it 700. If you open it up at random, you're not going to choose the first 100, you're not going to choose the last 100. Okay. So then there's 500 pages there. Well, each page has 2 sides. So that means there would be 250 individual pages that I could have chosen at random on that day. And I just happened to choose the one that, the physical page that the Bible suggested is where you start to read on the first day. So that you could calculate that as 1 in 250. Okay, you want to be more conservative? Okay, let's call it 1 in 100. But still 1 in 100 is still, if this was in some kind of a scientific test and you were to determine that it was 1 in 100 chance, you would put that as statistically significant, especially if you can combine it with other things. But I had a whole series of things like that which I managed to calculate objectively the probability of it happening, like what I've just described, and also subjectively by making guesses and assumptions. And that's where it led me to realise that, well, maybe I was wrong all these years. Maybe these things that are happening to me, if I want to believe that there is intrinsic meaning to my life, it kind of means that you have to believe in a supernatural, a transcendent being, in other words, God, exists. Because if God doesn't exist, there is no meaning to life. There's no intrinsic meaning. If you believe in a transcendent God and that humans were created in the image of God, whatever that necessarily means to you, created, what that means to you, in the image of God, what that means to you, then every human has an intrinsic meaning. That is something that I felt all my entire life. I always felt humans had intrinsic meaning. I always wanted to treat clients like humans. I always wanted to go the extra mile. I always wanted to help them. I always wanted to be asking about, I always wanted to talk to them and get to know them as a person rather than a business transaction. And so the deeper I went into studying the Bible, the deeper I went into studying the Gospels, all the teachings and all the lessons and all the things from the Bible, the more it resonated with who I was, and the more it resonated with what I was specifically doing in my business before. So, say for example, when I tried to operate the business, I wanted long-term relationships with people. The whole email marketing approach that I had was long-term nurturing. In other words, to build relationships with people, to start conversations with people, to get to know people, to try to convince the client to treat their email list not as a number, but each individual subscriber is a real person who receives your email. You've got to kind of, treat them as humans. Trying to, with one particular client, he received not a very pleasant message from, we can just call it a troll, and he was upset by it, demoralised, and so I then took 10-15 minutes out of my day to send him a voice note, to coach him through it, to put things into perspective, to make sure he's not stressed out. Well, okay, he appreciated it, but he didn't really appreciate it over the long term. These are the things I would naturally do. I would prefer to work with long-term clients where I could build a relationship with them, where I could get to know them more, where I could get to know them on a deeper level as real humans and not just as clients where we transacted money. All of this stuff resonated with what I read in the Bible. I wanted to pursue excellence. I wanted to become the best person I could possibly be. Well, in the Bible, that is what the mission, what the goal is. And the goal is to become Christ-like whenever possible. To become Christ-like means to pursue excellence, extravagant love, have integrity, humble service, and a whole bunch of other things. All of this resonated with me. All of this matched who I was as a person. Well, okay, that's where you find meaning. For me personally, and for many others, that I'm sure you'll agree with me that the joy is found in the journey, in the progress towards a goal, the incremental progress that you have on day to day, week to week, month to month, rather than actually achieving the goal. So, you know, the pursuit of excellence is something that you can never fully attain. 100% resonated with me. I now understood what I needed to do. And then I kind of thought, well, hold on. Why did my former business completely fail? And the answer is simple. My former business, Freedom Marketing, failed. My freelancing failed because I discovered after going through the Bible study, and you know, probably I put 1,000 hours into research, study, and contemplation. Probably more, coming to think of it. I realised that by my nature, who I am, I'm transformative. I want to do things to help people, to make an impact. Not to chase money, because it doesn't really excite you. I've been there, done that, doesn't work. But everything that I'd learned in my life as a copywriter, having the business, was always to chase money, chase worldly success. The definition of external success is, you know, that you want the watches, you want this, you want the holidays, you want the luxury, you want other people to think. All of these things which just satisfy your worldly, fleshly desires. So if that's the entire mindset that I've been in for a decade, and I'm trying to, that's the way that I try to attract clients into my company, it's the way that I try to put content out, it's the way that I attract coaches to help me, consultants to help me, service providers, the freelancers that I hired. Everything that I do was 100% based on transaction. So no wonder the kind of people that I attracted to the business treated me like a commodity too, because everything that I put out into the world attracted this kind of person to me. It didn't resonate with who I was. And this is why the clients and the people I work with did not appreciate all of the extra stuff that I gave them, which, if we operate a business on biblical principles and we want to do things for the benefit of others, well, these are the things that other people value. And so the solution that I found is that the plan for Kingdom Impact Lab, at least, is I want to try to build the business on biblical principles from the bottom up to the top. I want to do everything based on biblical principles. We can align everything we do with biblical principles. The way that I attract people to me, both Christian and non-Christian clients and people, is going to be based on that transformative element, which means I'm going to feel fulfilled. I've identified what my purpose in life is. I'm able to then pursue excellence, pursue becoming Christ-likeness. So I've got joy in the journey. I have fulfillment. I'm also helping people as well. I'm also having kingdom impact while I do it as well. I'm also bringing others on the journey with me, rather than looking at everything from the selfish perspective, which just doesn't work. Doesn't work chasing money. Okay, it does for some people, but not for me, and probably not for you too, if you're a Christian, and probably not for you too if you've sat through and listened to me talk about all this. Anyway, I've got more videos to record, so I'm going to have to end it here. So the short version of this is, I struggled for 10 years to find meaning and purpose. The reason why I lacked meaning and purpose was because I was an atheist, a materialist, and chased worldly successes, because that was the environment I was in for my entire life. Then I accepted Christ, came to Christianity, understood how why my former business failed, because it was inconsistent with who I was as a person. And now the solution to finding meaning and purpose is to focus on helping others above everyone else. And the way I'm going to do that is to build my business on biblical principles. I've uncovered my own purpose in life, and now I want to help others do the same through my coaching program, consulting on what I'm going to do in the future. So if any of this has resonated with you, I will be launching the founder's version of my coaching consulting program, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing regardless of the title we give it, where I'm going to help a few other Christian entrepreneurs to start off with, who might be feeling the same way that I felt. Specifically, I'm looking for, at the moment, Christians with a high ticket offer, because I want to work with people who were in the same situation as I was, with the same offer, with the same kind of business model, maybe even making more money than I did, maybe less, it really doesn't matter, but someone that was in the same situation that I was for so long, with the same kind of offer, the same kind of clients that you would be working with is the same kind of clients that I worked with. And I want to share with you the process that I went through. I want to share with you the frameworks that I've developed, all the exercises that I've gone through myself, which is lots of them, all boiled down to the core elements of it, so I can help you to basically come out with a business vision, a life vision, and becoming Christ-like as your ultimate aim, which is what you can anchor yourself into and progress towards. That's all for now. Again, apologies for the video, the whole angle and everything on here. Like I said, the phone stand has disappeared. That's all. See you in the next video.